We're in a new era here. And if you already subscribe to my podcast, you've probably noticed something different, actually, very different. The podcast is no longer named Dr. D's Social Network, but is now named The Far Side of Fitness. So, after 700 episodes in Dr. D's Social Network, I've been feeling a change for something different. Like, what's the next step for me in this podcast? I tend to be pretty reflective and how I feel about different things. And I really like to lean into my feelings and follow my intuition, that energy, and what it's telling me. And it's been telling me for some time that it's time to lean back into fitness, but to lean into it in a very different way. So, for those of you who have enjoyed and loved Dr. D's Social Network, I have a lot of gratitude for you. Thank you for listening. And I have gotten so much out of it and a wide array of conversations that I've had with so many different people that have been incredibly meaningful for me. I started that podcast just to talk to different people. I truly believe in the power of connection, but in meaningful connection and uninterrupted conversation. Because let's be honest, we don't have enough of that. Now think about in your life, how many uninterrupted long conversations do you have in your life on a regular basis? And I feel like in today's society, we have to be really intentional and set aside the time. And that was the reason for Dr. D's Social Network. I was born in my kitchen in our house in Washington State. And I remember I came out of the garage where I had my office on a side room there. And I told my wife, I'm going to start a podcast. And she said, of course you are. And she knows that once I set my mind to something, I'm going to do it. And this is no different. I started really setting my mind to this maybe 100 episodes ago, but it really came full circle for me when I was at Idea World, this past Idea World, past July. And I was sitting with some colleagues of mine from True Coach. And one of my colleagues, Rihanna, had mentioned something about the fringe of fitness. And I was explaining how I like to cover other sides of the coin and rare, unique sides of that coin. And I thought to myself, man, wouldn't that be a great name for a podcast or to move my podcast into something like that, narrow down the focus a bit more, but cover unique things on the far side of my industry. I settled on the far side of fitness just because as I started reflecting upon it and started messing around with some logos and things of that nature and coming to the logo that you see with the really big, strong, wooden superhero looking figure on the front, which represents the other side, the extreme side of things, but also a side of things that are really unique and different and creating wonder and kind of a weird vibe also to it because the far side of fitness is weird, it's wacky, it's wild, it's different, but it's not conspiratorial. It's not anything that is really crazy or nutty or just literally just off the farm crazy. I'm not into that. I don't prescribe to that, but I do feel like I'd like to move myself in a very curious pathway. I'm curious about things that are not discussed, but are discussed in a very intelligent and thoughtful way that look at the other side of things. I think you could also say that I was inspired. And one of my favorite episodes in Dr. D's Social Network was the dark side of meditation. And I remember, and this was another point for me, discussing with a colleague also at a conference at the ACSM Idea Conference in Chicago in February of 2024 about the dark side of meditation, that meditation is not always positive for people. It's not like this catch all positive thing. And I remember telling a colleague of mine, and he gave me this really interesting look on his face. Oh, he had never thought of that. And that captures the imagination and the feeling that I'm looking for with the far side of fitness. When we talk about these topics, I want you to be able to reflect and maybe make a face and go, huh, scrunch your nose up and go, I never thought of that. Or that's really strange. Or I should explore more about that take on fitness. So that's where we are now. So I really am excited to proceed in this fashion. We have some really great episodes coming up to really kick this off. This is the debut episode of The Far Side of Fitness, and I wanted it to just to be transparent, a transparency episode about my thoughts, feelings, and where things are going. And you can expect some really fun things, like just like the dark side of meditation, reverse testimonials. So I'm definitely looking for people who are trying fitness based products and have not just this glowing testimony. So often what happens is websites or whatever it is on any product, they almost always overvalue the product, and all the reviews are just glowing and positive. And while that's nice, life doesn't ordinarily work that way. And there are some other sides, a far side, a different side, maybe a reverse side of a product. So instead of coming to you and promoting products that are great and amazing, we're going to have reverse testimonials or the far side testimonials where people come and they talk to me about the products and fitness that they've checked out that they honestly really didn't like. Because honestly, why would it be fun just to talk about stuff that you like? It's good to talk about stuff also that didn't move you, didn't inspire you, and gives a different take. So you can expect some reverse testimonials, some really different, strange topics, and some familiar topics just looked at on the other side of it. So if you're looking to get on a podcast and you love fitness and you want to talk about something really unique within the fitness space or a take that's the opposite of the current mainstream take or just an other side experience, I would love to hear your pitch. Contact me, let me know. Darian Parker at gmail.com, DarianParker at gmail.com. Shoot me a message. I'd love to hear the other side of something that you're passionate about. Again, not crazy, not conspiratorial, but a little wild, a little weird, but intelligently thought about with passion. So I hope that you join me as we take this journey and our next 300 plus episodes, which will take us over 1,000 total episodes, are going to be something a little bit different, a little more narrow, but also a lot of fun. So I hope that you join me in this really strange, curious, winding road that looks at the far side of fitness.